mics.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
YouTube.
You're all
Okay.
like,
I gotta get you up on the big screen. Hang on.
you're all like, ha.
All right. And 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It is Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight is episode 170, entitled Encouragement. When you're completing a task, does it feel good to know that others believe that you can get it done? Did you find yourself telling others that they can do it? Did you get a boost when someone checks in and asks how a project is going? If you'd answered yes to any or all of these, you probably have a high need for encouragement. We're talking about that emotional need at the table tonight. So pull up a seat at the table and join us. First-time listeners, you can subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Watch us at lunchtimeinrome.com/live or listen directly on lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be great if you gave us a 5-star review. Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone, and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes of the podcast, and we talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome.
Hey, boys.
Rome.
Eric.
Good to see you. Good to be on the podcast this week. It's been hectic, you know. We've had a lot of
The hell you say?
yeah. We've had a lot of life happen the past couple of weeks.
This was your down period.
Yeah. When I go to work, that's when I get a break.
When you say week, you mean the past 3 months. God, I feel like you guys have just
It's been a
done
while. It's
so
been
much.
Yeah. We've packed a lot at the tail end of summer.
But
here.
Saturday was the finish line. Dot.
Yeah, Saturday was the finish line, and now I'm in recovery mode, but still doing things on
Right.
top of it. So it's not really the finish line, but we needed to get through it, and we wanted it to be great for Mags, and it was. So we had Maggie's birthday on Saturday.
Yep.
That was the finish line that Jay is speaking of, and it was a lot of fun. You know, we were talking a couple days before the party, and Amy was like, "Yeah, there's gonna be like 50 people here on Saturday." I'm like, "How are there gonna be 50 people here on Saturday?" And we started going. I was like, started going through the list, and I was like, "We're gonna have like 50 people here on Saturday." And you know, then we went into not panic mode, but like, you know, we had originally talked about like, you know, it is lunchtime. It's like exactly at lunchtime. We got to provide food. What are we gonna provide? We'll just do pizza, keep it simple. But I'm like. But then I feel like we're gonna have a lot of pizza left over, and there's not a lot of pizza eaters in our group, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're like. Let's do hot dogs, and they're kind of relevant to Bluey, which is like Maggie's favorite thing right now, and you know, sausages, you know, and if you watch Bluey, you'll get that.
I don't remember that one, but Bluey is great.
It is great.
Cool.
It's a great show. It's a great family show. On Disney Plus.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a sponsor. But
Not like Hertz.
that's right. And it was just a lot leading up to that. The party was a lot. I'm not a huge fan of like hosting a party.
They're
Like,
going to say, I'm not a big fan of 50 people.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of hosting like a big party like that. Like the part of me I like going to a party with that many people and hanging out and talking. But whenever I feel like I feel like I'm spinning plates the whole time, you know, and I'm checking in, making sure I'm, you know, mingling with, you know, everybody.
You're
that I
basically
need
spending the
to.
whole time trying not to disappoint somebody.
Exactly, the whole time.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like you do like to have parties here. It's just like for a certain group or a certain type of people. That
Yeah,
are
or
coming.
like a certain vibe, like when
Yeah.
we're having like a fire,
Yeah.
or like when we're doing 4th of July.
But that
like,
kind of
thing.
that kind of party, you have a wide array of different people.
Yeah, and different.
Expectations.
Yeah, and there's also like different.
Yeah, like
Roles,
different parts of your
hats.
life,
Yeah,
like intersecting and
yes,
Worlds
Yeah.
colliding.
I have my
Yeah.
family, Amy's family, you guys, you know, friends that we've met
Friends,
through Maggie,
yeah.
and you know,
Neighbors,
right? Which shout out to Jordan, my neighbor. He came over and hung out, and he was awesome. He like hung out with my parents, talked to them. He
Oh,
was
that's
great.
That's bonus points right there.
Right.
yeah.
He came in clutch. It was good.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we started last week was preschool for Maggie, and we like not so much leading up to the drop off on Friday, but we always thought that Maggie would be the kid that'd be like, "Oh, see you later, Mom and Dad." Because like whenever there's kids around, she gets really excited and like she doesn't really pay much attention to us.
And you were wrong.
We were wrong.
Yeah,
but we
right.
kind of felt it like leading up to it, because there was just so much change happening in her life, and she's never gone to daycare. She's always been.
She's only been doing like the nursery at the church.
Right. And-
She always knows that Mom and Dad are somewhere in the vicinity,
Right, and yeah,
And you
exactly.
guys had explained to her like, really how it was going to work.
And she, her little brain was processing all that, and I don't know how that was going over in her brain.
Mommy and Daddy are going to be gone for a long time.
Yeah.
No, you can't say it that way. That's part of the trouble. Like
Right. Yeah, you can't say that. And we didn't. But we left her and walked away, and it was fine. And then when we picked her up, we heard that she had gotten sad and she cried a little bit, but she rallied and she was okay. And then after that, after Friday, so Friday we had the whole weekend, and then first day back was today, Wednesday, because they had off on Monday for Labor Day. It was, Mommy, don't leave me. Daddy don't. I got a Daddy don't leave me today.
That's
so
awesome.
hey,
progress.
it was all Mommy up until today. So there is that. I was coming back down from work. She had come home from preschool, and I was coming back down to the basement to work, and Daddy don't leave me. So that was tough, but I'm also okay with leaving her. Like I'm like, this is gonna make you stronger. You'll be fine. The hardest thing for me is to watch Amy go through it and be anxious about it
And have zero solutions.
Well, right, and like this morning, drop off was horrible. Like crying, kicking, screaming. Amy leaving, but then I will say kudos. We're taking her to Beulah Preschool. It's a great preschool. And her teacher tried calling Amy, couldn't get a hold of Amy, so she called me and just reassured us that she was doing great. She was participating, and like,
Whether
so
it's true or not, that's great that she would just give you that peace of mind.
It was peace of mind though. Like it was, and Amy really appreciated that too. So, yeah, that was good. So I feel like the second day was off to a really bad start. It rallied really good, and she was good. Like today, she was great. Like I felt like we got our kid back. Like fun loving. We were having lots of fun after this evening, and I did fall asleep on the couch because I'm just so exhausted. But
you think about like she spent the good part of a year of her first 4 locked down.
Right. Like we haven't really lived outside of these. I mean, we've lived outside of these walls, but like you pointed out before, like, she just knows this and church, and that's it.
Right.
And she's been to other parties, she's been around other kids, but
Been
like
to Kennywood, been to Idaho.
right. She's lived a lot of life
with
so far.
Mommy,
Yeah.
with Daddy.
Been to the beach, done a lot of stuff, but like this was just a much different experience than anything that she's had. So
It's funny how hard it is. Not funny. It's interesting how hard it is for the child as you go through these transitions. And to a degree, she's saying, no, I want it to be the way it was. And I would like to, assert what's most comfortable for me, because growing is difficult. I mean, she's not, obviously. she's an evil genius if that's all going through her
she's
mind.
thinking about all of this. Yeah.
But it's so hard as a parent to be like, no, I've got to hold the line, and I've
Yeah.
got to be there, and I've got to support, my spouse, and I have to say no, and I have to say the tough things, and it's a transition for everybody.
Right.
It's
And yeah,
hard.
and another thing, we went to Kennywood, and
Jackrabbit.
why not? Oh yeah, she rode the Jackrabbit. Which after that, I sent you guys the video. She was like catatonic, like she was just like, "What?
Not sure what just happened.
But she rode it. She didn't cry, which I thought was great. But there was a point where Amy wanted to go ride something, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was left with Maggie. So that was about 20 minutes of her crying and whining the whole time. And I was trying to comfort her I was saying like I am sad that mommy's gone, bug, and all this, all this other stuff. And then I was trying to like, well, you want to go ride something? Because like there was nobody there. Like we could get on anything instantly that we wanted.
They're letting her on the Phantom's Revenge. They're like, she's not big enough, but we need the ridership.
But yes, so and you want to play a game? You want to do this? We had already had like ice cream, so I wasn't going to do that again. But like, I was pulling out all the stops, trying nothing, and I just realized I was like, I just need to be here, and I just need to sit here.
Say what you said to her about being loud.
Oh
and
yeah,
crying.
so yeah, the other part of it was like it had been like 15 minutes of just her like straight like not full on crying. Like she would get to a point where she was crying, but then it was just like whining, and we're sitting across from this ice cream stand at Kennywood. And if you're familiar with Kennywood, it's called the Golden Nugget, and I was like, okay, Bug, I'm sad, but we can be sad quietly, because I felt
It's so good. Like you gave it to her. You're like, it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
It's also okay to be sad and quiet.
yeah, because like I just felt so bad for the kids that were working the Golden Nugget. Like it had been like seriously, it had been like 15 minutes. I'm like, we have to be so annoying right now, just sitting here, because like again, there was nobody at Kennywood, so like they were just standing around. Like it's not like there was a crowd that drowned it out at all.
And so you're dealing with the 4-year-old, and you're also dealing with your own conscience of that, worrying about what.
Right, it's the whole acceptance thing. Like I don't
messing
want
it up for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Which is 2 days after an entire birthday party of trying not to mess it up for everybody.
it's a great weekend.
At one point, Eric's going to live for himself. Not soon, though.
No, but you guys were here supporting me the whole way through, and we're there.
So on Sunday, I think I saw on Facebook, as we were talking about before we sat down at the table, the Pro Disc Golf Tour is up in Cranberry basically this weekend for a Silver Series event. I won't nerd everybody out and explain the difference between Elite Series and Silver Series.
Wow. Well, Silver Series.
But there was a post on Facebook from a guy who's sort of in that world, and he said, listen, a lot of the pros have been asking me if there's some people that could host them for the time that they're here. They go, they're great. I've done it before. They're great guys. They will
host them in your home?
because they tour and they travel, and like the top guys have their own like RVs,
Campers and stuff like that,
but
yeah.
everybody else doesn't. Sure. And he said they'll be so polite, and you'll get to know them, and it's great. And I just sat there and I was like, I was going to comment. And so, but I mean, we're also 35 minutes away. Like, I'm sure there's somebody in Wexford.
Yeah.
They can put them up.
Right.
Give him
houses.
Barb's number.
Yeah.
But it was great. I got home and I said to Rachel, and I told her that. She was like, absolutely not. And I went, oh, honey, no, wait, you don't understand. They'd be staying in our house. And she was like, no. I said, honey, they'd be in Joe's bedroom because he won't be home. Right next to Bella's bedroom.
Still no.
You're
She's
making
like,
it better.
I said, Rachel, when you get up in the morning, they'll be getting up at the same time. They'll be in the same
How did she
shower
not
that
go
you
to
use. Am I not?
You're really selling
How
it,
did she
man.
not go
You're
for
really
that? I
selling
said,
it.
did I not point out they probably smoke a lot of weed? I'm like, maybe that's, do you not understand? I said, wait, it could be a woman who's really attractive
She missed
in our home while you're at work. How is it not? It was so much fun. Like, I kept trying to think of better and better ways to make it more and more ridiculous.
Can't believe she didn't go for that.
I love it. I find that hilarious.
It was so
that's
much
funny.
fun. It was so much fun.
How does she respond to that sort of thing? Because
Oh, she laughs.
Does she? Okay,
She
good.
laughs until she cries. Only I never see her
Mostly she's crying.
No, she does because she knows I'm being silly, but it's funny because you all know Rachel. She's making sure there's no door open here,
Right.
But she's
Right.
laughing.
There's no kernel
Yeah.
of truth.
It's like I told her the one time when I was being, let's just leave this as G-rated as possible, flirtatious with her, and I said, "No, honey," I said, "your mouth says no." But your body language is telling me hell no. What am I supposed to do with this mixed message? I don't know where I'm supposed to go from here. She's so complex. The other thing for my update is today at volleyball for I think around like 2,000th time, I was standing at the net and a girl's serving and I'm watching from the other side and it's going right into the middle of the net. And so you just typically put your hand up or else it's going to hit the net and kind of hit you. It doesn't hurt, whatever. So I just banged my hand up against the ball and I suppose I did it just right.
Oh no.
And I was sitting there going, it really hurts, but it's sort of where I have some cuts from working on the disc golf course. And then I was like, no, it really hurts. And I looked down, and it was, if you look at it, it was a good ping pong ball.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
Contusion.
So, yeah,
for pod.
on the wrist.
Contusion on the
And
wrist.
so I go in to see the trainer. And I was like, oh, hold on a second, ladies. And so I went in and saw the trainer. And I'm like, but I can do this, and I can do it. I'm moving my wrist everywhere. And he goes, oh, yeah, it's just, and he goes, it's just more. And I said, what is it? Yeah, it's just a burst. And I said, oh, okay. So it is that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had
What do we
players
do
have
for
it,
that?
but,
Yeah.
and he said it's just a whole bunch, but if you feel it, it's hard like a bone,
I'm scared.
but
I believe you.
it hurts, so don't touch it.
Okay.
But that was fun. But I mean, I'm happy because it doesn't hurt to do anything; just hurts to bang it. And like in one drill, I had my arms behind my back, and I went to grab my wrist, and it hurt to grab my wrist. So what I do is
Don't.
don't grab my wrist.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, I'm a survivor.
You're a quick one.
I am.
I'm going to do a quick update, and it's also going to be disc golf related.
What?
I finally, since the start of school, finally got to go disc golfing. And 2 days
mean with
ago,
me?
yeah,
Oh wow, that's sad.
2 days ago in the rain,
Yep.
we Jay and I played our church course, and it was fantastic.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, great time. You know, like you play in the rain in a way. There's like the pressure's off. You know what I mean? Not that there's. I mean, I don't put a ton of pressure on myself, but I'm just saying, like,
If you play bad, of course. It's raining.
yeah, like who?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like who cares? Like
It's raining. Of course,
yeah.
I'm playing bad.
But
That's what I said
I'm
the whole
trying
time.
not to fall.
That's what I said the whole time with Northern Boundaries. I'm playing Northern Boundaries.
Playing
Of
on a
course I'm
cliff.
Playing bad.
It's
One
68
guy-
and sunny. Huh? No wonder why I'm playing bad.
The sun's out.
One guy posted playing Northern Boundaries in disc golf, which is where it is this weekend. It's like playing disc golf in hell. I mean, yeah, you're playing disc golf, but you are going to die forever.
that's such a great.
relate to
that. We call that an analogy.
I would.
We're gonna call it that. But it was a great time, and had a couple of really bad moments. One, performance-wise.
Don't bring up number 3.
Yes, number 3, performance-wise. So I had
You're
a
one
great
under,
start.
going
I don't
into
think
3.
I've never had a better start to this course.
Yeah, dude.
Lights out.
I birdied hole 1, parred hole 2,
Nope.
It's a new birdie, which is the old par
Parred
for
hole
par
one.
2.
parred hole 1, birdied hole 2. That's what I said. No, feeling like, man, I just with the way I'm throwing where I want to throw. I'm putting how I want to putt. This is great. Great drive on hole 3. I was like,
man.
20 feet uphill.
yeah, maybe. Went for the old quad putt, the quadruple putt. That's 4 putts, boys. That's 4. That's bad.
That's bad.
That's real bad.
Rollaways or just bad putts?
One was a roll.
Never more than 20 feet back to you.
Sure.
The one did. The one was maybe 30 feet.
One was bad. 2 were almost really. Yes, they were all bad.
For those
dude.
of
They
you
were
who've
just
never
all
been
bad.
on hole number 3, the basket sits on a pretty steep hill, and if you bang it off of the basket and it
Catches an edge.
catches an edge, it'll roll down.
Yeah, he
pretty
missed his
substantially.
birdie by 2 inches,
Right.
and it rolled 20 feet
I was
away.
so good. The drive was so good, you know. So then I'm like, well, okay, whatever. That's
Brush
the
it
bad
off.
It's
hole.
raining.
Brush it off. Brush it
It's
off.
raining, right?
I step up to the next tee and lose one of my favorite discs.
Well, to be fair, it was on your second shot.
Yeah, well, the first shot hit
Did
a
it go
tree.
down
so
over the hill?
No, didn't you throw right in the ground, 10 feet in front of you?
No,
He
wait,
threw
was
a
that the one going downhill? The new
Barb's
one?
hole? No, Barb's hole.
Oh, right, forward. Yeah.
So,
okay,
but
yeah.
did your disc go down over the hill into the?
yeah,
Maybe.
somewhere. I don't know how far, but
We'll find it in
it's.
the fall.
Oh no,
No, it's gone forever.
It's like Sandlot. You're never getting that thing back.
It is a ravine. It's pretty steep.
That's. I'll.
Oh, you know it. You know
Someday.
it's all the way down there.
It's somewhere.
No, it
not
shouldn't have
necessarily
been hard
all
to
the
find.
way.
It shouldn't have been that hard to find.
Well, when things
It
die
was
off
like a
for the winter.
rainforest, though. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally
Yeah.
raining.
And it could be one of those caves.
I was
that go
sliding
down
down the
mines.
hill. There's vines all over the place. There's like downed trees.
Skulls.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think
Booby traps.
one-eyed Willie was hiding somewhere around there.
Oh, that's from a movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Goonies.
Yeah. Hey, you guys.
So anyway, that's me.
I almost had a run in with some of the neighbors down at the bottom of the hill at one time.
Yeah, you did.
Not a run in. I mean, yeah, kind of a run in.
Back and forth.
Yeah, I lost. I threw my disc over there, and I'm just pacing back and forth trying to find it, and this couple comes out and they're just looking at me.
Yeah, you look like some sort of creeper.
I look like some sort of creeper, and I'm like, I'm just trying to find my disc, and it didn't escalate, but it was really awkward, and I was like, screw you, I'm up here on our church, like our property, because they were I was pretty convinced, but they were kind of like, oh, what are you doing up there? And like, so for me, it's like, oh, well,
You've got to
I'm on my
say
property.
that very clearly, though, too, for people who don't know. I'm looking for my disc. Otherwise,
gotta
you
get
look
that
really
S.
bad. Yeah,
You gotta get
'cause
that
you're
S in there.
You're pacing back and forth in their
Right.
yard, and
I
you're saying
lost-
lewd comments.
Lost my disc.
I want to point out, Chris, you did finish strong, and that was one of your better scores at the course.
It's true. I really had a
nice.
great time.
Yeah.
A little tear for my disc, but that's all right.
We'll
great.
find
Thank
it.
you,
We'll
Jay.
find it.
We'll find it in the fall.
Oh yeah.
So my kids started school, and Abby was just absolutely so excited that when she started. Ethan was excited. It was time for him to go back. I asked him like 2 days before school started. I was like, "Are you bored?" Because he was doing the same thing every day. He was sleep until noon, basically staying downstairs all day.
The moss started to grow
Yeah.
like at his neckline.
And the whole time I'm like, "Are you going to get a job?" Because he's been talking about getting a job, and he needs to get a job. Anyways, I don't want to blow up his spot. Too bad. But he was just bored, and so he's happy that he's back in school. Abby was just beaming.
How's he dealing with the cell phone thing?
Oh,
So
is
for those
is
who
there a
don't
new
know, our
rule?
school has a cell phone ban, and you literally put your phone in a bag that zips and locks
Good.
for the whole school day.
I'll
And
tell
it's
you,
like
I'll tell you off air.
Yeah.
I'll tell you off air.
Oh, all right.
He's not having a problem with it. Let's just say that.
That's good.
That'll be 3 days out.
Second day of school,
He
Lily
knows the consequences.
Lily decided, yeah, no, I'm just not taking it. She just leaves it at home.
Right.
Like, why not?
So,
Yeah.
anyways, the kids are excited. Ethan went and did. Today was the play day where they go and they figure out. Well, they figure out which play they're doing.
It made it sound like they played games.
Yeah,
Like,
play
play
day.
day. Play day. They
They
didn't
all-
have to go to school.
Skipped around the old schoolyard. They no, they went and they found out which play they're doing in the fall, but they're also doing a fall musical this year too, and then so he's been like beaming about that, and because he's been looking to this moment today,
Yeah.
since the last moment of the musical in the spring.
Yeah. Oh, this is his element for sure.
Yeah. But something really, it seemed like a small thing, but and this doesn't have to do with school, but I helped him clean his room down in the basement this past week because
buddy.
he kind of was mentioning, it kind of stinks down here, and I knew
When the kid says it kind of
That's
stinks.
bad. That's bad.
Well, part of it's like, when's the last time you vacuumed your carpet? When's the last time you changed your sheets? Like, you're 15. I'm not doing these things for you. If it stinks down there, you should maybe start there. But we had time over the weekend, and I know that he's high on support, and it also was pretty gross down there, like because we have his side, and then we have like the side with the washer and dryer. So, but I'm helping him out, and before I came and helped him do all the like actual cleaning of dirt, he got rid of a lot of stuff.
Sure he did.
Yeah, it was like
Well, before Dad comes down, you got to do the first clean.
That's all digital now. There's no magazines
I
anymore.
looked under his bed. No, there were a couple socks under there, and
Oh, okay.
they weren't stiff.
Oh, bro.
So no, I'm just saying they weren't. It wasn't dirty. So
Right.
Good. That's good.
It's a good
they
thing
were,
we, yeah.
they were just socks that happened to land there
Yeah.
after
Yeah,
because
that's all it is.
So, anyways, but my point is, he went through and took basically a phase of his life or phases of his life where he took a lot of his kids' toys.
Oh.
And yeah, we boxed some things up, we gave some things away.
Yeah.
And after we were all done, after it was all clean, like he was like, "Wow, this is amazing," and he was like, "It's almost like I'm about to move out," and it hit me like it was like
Oh wow.
it was just
That's not far.
It's 3 years, and he's
Yeah.
already talking about what college he wants to go to, what he wants to do. So it is that moment where I still have a couple years, but they're
Yeah.
going to go like this,
Yeah.
And so that helping him clean his room was one of those moments where I was like, he's just made an evolution, and I don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
I don't want to not acknowledge that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Cats in the Cradle started playing.
it did.
I'm glad you cleaned his room because whenever I was down there, like putting the
pretty
upgrades
gross.
in on his PC, I was like, "Bro, you got just take a vacuum and vacuum back behind your desk here."
Well,
Like,
at the bottom of the stairs is right when you come out of the garage into his room, we've had a couple bags of newspapers and like recycling. You know how you put your newspapers and there's so you can go through it and recycle. We just never do that because I normally just burn the papers. But those have been sitting there, I don't know, for a year and a half down there. When I moved it, there was this mummified mouse, and I was like, "Oh, that's probably one reason it stunk down here."
Wow.
Yeah, there's just this mummified. So it was nasty. And I also said,
How did the mouse die?
we put a bunch of poison down
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, what, you know, what's so gross down there that killed a
there's another
mouse?
family living down there.
But I also had the thought when we were cleaning, I said to him, "Look, I don't want you to feel like we shove you down here and never think about you. I don't want you to feel like you're taken for granted, you know, because like there's time, like he goes down there and spends a lot of time there, but then there's also sometimes where I'm like, is he feeling validated? Does he feel like he's been shoved into a corner of the house?" And so we had a good talk about that. So all in all, it was a really good time. Wow,
That's good. And I would encourage you to keep doing that as a dad.
Would you?
Duke
Yeah.
said that the smell actually killed the mouse.
That's a very distinct possibility.
What's up, Duke?
Yes. And that was good that you supported him in that regard, because if you just would have simply encouraged him, it probably wouldn't have helped.
Doesn't work.
And it's important for us to know the difference between different emotional needs. If we just know, like, wow, Ethan is in a mood. All right, great. As a parent, there's not much you can do with that, because at best you'll be like, stop being in a mood.
Stay
Or-
in the basement.
or I'm sorry you're in a mood. But that's not enough. We want to make sure that we are well aware of what our emotional needs are, And so this is now, I think, number 5 or 6 in a series of looking at the top 10 emotional needs and taking a deep dive so that we really understand them. And it's good for you to know yourself, but it's also really good for you to know the people in your life. And I pointed out in the preview, I believe on Facebook, this helps in all facets in every relationship you have. If you've got a boss that has a high need for encouragement, you need to listen to this podcast, because you can be that person that encourages them, even though they're your boss. Well, guess who he's going to like, or she? You, more than the one who doesn't encourage them. It's just simple knowledge and simple relationships. It's helping you be better at relationships.
Yes. I've enjoyed these deep dives quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think this is number 7.
It could be number
which
7.
is great
Yeah.
because there's only 3 more, which is because that's going to be a whole section of the site where we're going to build it out. And
You want help
each-
with that, or you probably do?
yeah.
I believe in
I'll
you.
let you know. But it's going to be a whole section of the site where it's going to be a complete resource that you can go to and visit and learn more about whatever emotional needs that you fall under.
I find it amazing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I find it amazing that we're only on E for encouragement. We're almost like,
Yeah, but the A's dominate.
oh, the A's.
A lot of
do
A's.
dominate.
Yeah.
So the definition of encouragement that you're using, Jay, would be urging another to persist and persevere toward a goal, stimulating toward love and good deeds, particularly when someone is weary. You can do it. That would be encouragement.
I really thought you were going to say
Put your back into it.
No.
You can do it.
I thought you were going to say, and mind you, I wrote it.
Yes.
Well, I didn't write it. I cut and pasted it. But I thought you were going to say, especially when somebody is weird. Weary. That's
Weird.
different.
Yes, weary.
And this is our running joke. If you've been with us on each of our deep dives, get your pen and your paper out. and Chris, why don't you go over what causes it?
All right. Well, there are 2 things, Jay.
Oh.
This is
yeah.
completely
So
foreign.
it could be having it met constantly as a child.
So you're born and raised in a family that's like, you can do it, Jimmy. You're the best. You're going to get it done. You're the best.
And because you're used to it, now you have built up this sort of like this is an expectation you have for how people treat you. And then there is the not having it met as a child.
Jimmy, you can't do it. You stink.
You know, this might be, well, I guess all of our emotional needs have opposites, but man,
And or the...
That one makes way more a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
discouragement for
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There's lack of encouragement. And
And
then
then
there's
Straight
discouragement.
up,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Cutting you down.
And I would love... See, that's where, like, it's hard to get stats. But, like, I wonder what people experience more. Like I think in a family, if you're just basically being ignored and not getting any emotional needs met, you're probably also being discouraged. If they say anything.
Well, maybe not even so much by the parents, but especially like if you have siblings or something like that, like that discouragement is probably really tangible for people. And you may have parents that also do like, oh, you're never going to amount to anything. Or like, man, how about those teachers out there? Not looking at you, Chris, but like those teachers that are like,
He literally just
The
looked at
other
me.
ones.
yeah, the
That
other
is
ones.
true. He did look right at you.
Well, because you're a teacher, but not you kind of a teacher.
You don't know what kind of a teacher he is.
I don't know what
you
kind
kind
of teacher. He might be in his classroom.
Mr.
going,
Davidson, do you think I
dumb
could be a good
brats."
musician someday?
No.
You? No.
I can't believe you had to go to ask me that. You're the worst. But yeah, so I think in families, especially with siblings, you can grow up in that environment where it's not that you don't have it, like it hasn't. People haven't actively encouraged you, but you can be cut down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder in a lot of families if the parents are either just checked out or just not very emotion based, whatever. So you're not getting any encouragement from your parents, and you're a younger sibling. I'll bet you do not get encouraged by the parents, and then you get discouraged by the older siblings because they're like, "Why do you think you're going to be doing something? Like,
you're an
no, that's
idiot.
not how
You're
this
not hanging
works
out
here."
with us.
Right.
Right.
Well, or even in the things you want to do. Hey, nobody encouraged me, so I'm going to discourage you out of their hurts.
Well, let me ask you, Jay.
Yes, sir.
You were the youngest.
Sure was.
Did you find a lot of how did that play out
Early
for you?
on, 0 through 12, I was largely ignored because my next sibling's 4 years older than me. Then it goes 6, then 10, and 11. But like I was, I had the lead in 6th grade in the musical, and I think everybody came to it. So that we were good, we were a good family. I was just the youngest of 5, so I wasn't discouraged. I do remember, there was encouraging moments. So no, but
then
my
the
parents were also
siblings-
relatively encouraging.
Yeah.
To my older siblings. I mean, they had checked out by the time I came along. But I'm just kidding. No, that's not true. Like my dad was the umpire in Little League Baseball, and my mom drove me everywhere she had to, and so it was all right.
I'm always amazed by we go over these same 2 points for each need, but like it makes sense to me, and maybe to a lot of people right up front, that okay, they had a lack of this need met as a kid, and so there's this obvious deficiency. But it's the other one that, like, okay, they had it met as a kid, and now they're an adult, and there's like this emptiness, like this hole in, like they're not having it met. And I think a lot of people don't even know what it is they're not having met.
Right, especially with something like encouragement, like they don't notice it. But conversely, you're raised and it's like, oh, Jimmy, you can do it. Jimmy, you can do it. You can do it. And now Jimmy's an adult. And he's like, yeah, don't tell me I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
They're tired of that.
Well, you said something that your dad would take you to the ball games or whatever, and so that ties into how is that different than support? Because to me, like, wouldn't taking you to a ball game be support rather than encouragement?
Well, I didn't say taking me to the ball game. He would be
or
the umpire.
or whatever. But even still,
and we'll get to how is it met. But the difference between encouragement and support, because we get those confused, and I would encourage everybody. We've talked about this before. Typically, you either need encouragement or you need support. Sometimes you need both. I've had those people. I've met with those people, and there are a couple people I've met, and this is the more people with a very high level of self-confidence don't need encouragement or support. They're like, I don't care if you think I can get this done, and I certainly don't want your help. And it's like, all right, bro,
Right.
But support is, let me help you do it. Encouragement is, hey, I believe you can do it.
Right.
And if you have one of those, you don't want the other. The other doesn't, not you don't want, it doesn't help you.
You're saying more oftentimes that's the way it is.
I would say 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Easily 80% of the time. And so in Ethan's case, he has a high need, you said, for support. So if you would have said, Ethan, it's only going to take you 10 minutes. You can bang this out, vacuum for 3 minutes, organize for 5 minutes.
I've just wasted more time doing that than actually coming and supporting him and helping him do the job.
Right. And so if somebody has a high need, but on the opposite side, as we're talking about encouragement, if I always use Rachel as an example, she's overwhelmed with doing the laundry. And if I say to her, honey, I love the fact that you get this done by Tuesday. Think about how great it's going to be when you're done Tuesday night, everything's put away, and you don't have to do laundry again until Saturday. She's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. And she gets a little boost. If I sat down with her to help her do the laundry, the dumbest thing I could possibly do.
Yeah.
She would look at me like I had 3 heads, like I had just asked her to host a disc golf pro in our house.
That would almost like that, or it'd almost be like trying to load your dishwasher for you.
That's another issue.
Yeah.
That's a security issue because you're doing it wrong and that's out of order.
Yeah. Duke comes in with some words of wisdom here.
Ah, yes, Duke.
Encouragement is cheering your son on as he runs down the first baseline. Support is punching out the first baseman.
Wow.
Dude,
He's going to be safe.
he's
The runner will be safe. The father will be in prison.
in jail.
Duke did have a very supportive father in the baseball world, so he speaks from experience.
And then your son will have lack of a sense of security because his dad was hauled off to jail.
Exactly. And lack of respect because everybody will make fun of him because your dad's in prison.
Meanwhile, we're not even caring about that first baseman still.
We all know he had it coming. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the whole point. He'd been mouthing off the whole
lived.
time.
He lived. He's fine.
Probably.
I just recently rewatched the YouTube clip of the Will Ferrell skit from SNL where he's like, you remember the Get Off the Shed?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the sequel to that was Get on the Bag. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
yelling.
He's the dad.
Yep. He's like, get on the bag. First base. So, I don't know. Nice and encouraging.
So how is it, Matt?
Well, there's 2 general categories. The one is very obvious, which is verbally. That is words, believing in one's ability to achieve. You can do it. That's great. Engaging in general conversation about one's efforts to achieve. In my case, like disc golf, when somebody says, hey, how's the church course coming along? I'm like, oh, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Like you get a little bump. You're like,
So, a
Yeah.
question can be encouragement.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, just
'Cause
showing an interest or a.
Exactly.
Okay.
You come alongside somebody, hey, how's the new job? How's Maggie doing in preschool? Hey, you're doing a great job as a dad. Investing in somebody's life, it's encouraging. Asking questions like we just said about how one's efforts to achieve. If you think about it, like when somebody says, oh gosh, don't encourage them. When like somebody's asking about like, oh, a guy loves his car.
Right.
And somebody else
Right.
says, hey, how's your car? Oh, don't encourage him.
Right.
Well, the opposite is actually because you are encouraging them.
Yeah.
So just asking questions about somebody's interests, somebody's desires,
And what's
literally
interesting,
asking questions.
you're actually helping that other person who's annoyed.
Right, because
Yeah,
that is ironic,
Because the husband or whatever can now
Get
talk
it out.
to you,
Yes,
and not
right.
because she maybe
And he's
feels
not going to want to talk
badgered.
about it later. Although he may bring up like, well, Jay asked me about my cool car.
Jay was so encouraging.
Why can't you
today.
be more encouraging like Jay?
Next one on the list, again, still verbally, but posting about their efforts on social media. Hey, there's a positive use of social media. They do exist out there, right?
They do.
Yeah, but if you're in the midst of a project and you see somebody say, hey, my good friend so-and-so is doing, this thing, you're like, oh, wow, they not only did they notice, but they cared enough to share about it on social media.
Yeah.
And in a similar fashion, talking it up to other people.
Yeah.
Right. In real life.
Because
Not-
imagine if you're, in real life, in what do we call it? Dynamic or organic life,
Right.
not just electronic life.
Right.
But it's beyond verbal. We can also meet it with our actions. And that's whether somebody's, and what I wrote was supporting,
Yeah, that's interesting.
in quotes, one's efforts, participating in, but not necessarily helping them achieve something. So so say like an Eagle Scout project. And so a kid has got to get his troop to do something. Well, if every troop member is like, no,
Yeah.
no, then they don't feel encouraged. But if they do their role, well, then that person will feel encouraged. Same thing with the disc golf course. There's times when I'm like, gosh, I just wish more people would get involved. Like, I don't want you to build my disc golf course for me, but if you come alongside
Yeah.
and do that, I feel encouraged by that.
And motivated. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
you know,
And so
yeah.
that can be financially, that can be in roles. Again, it's not doing it for them. It's doing the role that they need help in.
Right.
They're going to feel encouraged by that. And then also promoting or spreading the words about somebody's efforts, I think, is another way we can do that.
And how's it not met?
Well, we already touched on that a little bit, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, discourage.
But more specifically.
Well, we've got not believing in someone, or I mean, obviously, and that can be just in your head, which sometimes we think we think things, and they don't all have to come out of our mouths. As we tell our elementary kids, you don't have to say everything that you think, right?
But to that end, you say that's obvious, or that sometimes it's in our heads.
Sure.
Do you mean like that we think people aren't supporting us?
No, I'm talking about like being the other person and saying, well, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do
Like you may
this.
not believe in somebody,
Right.
But you don't have to.
You
tell
don't
them.
have to say, you know what, just give up.
And I
Right.
want to reiterate that I had a very good childhood. I talk about it a lot, and learning this, I see a lot of what I didn't get. So I don't ever want anybody to think that, I don't ever want to look like I'm trashing my parents and all that. However, we all have like significant lines, and I've shared mine here about, when I said, Mom, don't you care? And she said, honey, I can't. My sister Marcy was taking gymnastic lessons and said, Mom, do you ever think I'll be good enough to be in the Olympics? And my mother said, oh, no, honey.
And right there,
I think she was like, I think she might have been 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah. Ouch. Ouch.
And it's like,
Which at that point you really don't know.
we brought it up to my mother, and she's like, well, I didn't want her to waste any, no, that was, she's like, she didn't feel any shame about it. But that would be an example. Hey, what do people say? I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you could lie.
Right?
Or like you said, just keep your mouth shut.
Just keep your mouth shut, yeah.
Exactly.
Kind of talked about actively discouraging, the teacher that says you'll never amount to nothing. That's kind of a pretty big discouragement there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have been really scarred by that. I mean,
Serial killers. I mean, and I'm serious.
Yeah.
But then conversely, like serial killers that have been like, or almost or something like you've heard, and it's just like the kindergarten teacher pulled me aside and said, Jimmy, you're not like that. If it wasn't for that, I would have.
Yeah, when you hear, I mean, who's doesn't have somebody in their life who's into true crime
Who's
right
a
now?
serial killer?
Right?
Well, we all know women.
Right?
I
And
don't
so,
really do it.
yeah, I mean, my Amy certainly is always watching true crime, and so I'm in the room with her when she's watching it and whatnot, and sometimes I get into it. But anyway, so many of them, you hear the backstories of these like
No chance.
serial killers. It's like, oh my goodness, of
No
course.
wonder why-
How do we
yeah.
not see that coming? But
Yeah.
of course, they don't have people in their lives that are actually looking for, and it takes years to put it all together. But you see these chains of events of discouragement, and it's like, wow, and neglect and all the things.
Yeah.
Brief sidebar. Nate Bargatze, at least for Eric and I, one of our favorite comedians, was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
It's another popular podcast like ours.
Yeah. It's popular, not really like ours.
Right,
It's
right.
differently popular.
Yeah.
they're
But-
both podcasts.
Yeah, they are. Both available on Spotify. Ours is available in more places
That's right.
than Joe Rogan's.
That's
I
right.
just want you to know
That's
that.
amazing.
We've never, anyhow, the point of the story is this. They were talking about true crime and women watching it. And Joe goes like, why? Why does every woman watch true crime? And, he's like, are they looking for tips and how to off us and whatever else? And Nate just goes, they're nosy.
That is a great Nate Bargatze
He
line.
goes, the serial killer's like, just let me be. Just let me do my killings. Why are you in my business? Just let me go. You're nagging me about how I did this.
Generally dismissing someone and their abilities.
So it's not specific to the project. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, you're not going to complete this project.
Right.
It's just like,
Yeah.
just always casting doubt.
I don't think
onto
you're the right
somebody.
person for this project. I don't think you're the right person for this job. Something like,
Or you're a loser.
Right.
That's not being encouraging.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go to college. There's other options for you too. I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket.
What if you're the guy that like is always bringing up the other side of things and is kind of contrary at times?
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, hypothetically, if that were
That would be discouraging.
someone in your life that did that sort
Yeah,
of
that
thing.
would be discouraging.
Yeah, I
I feel like, oh, I got this new, new and exciting thing. Yeah, it might go bad though.
yeah.
And you're like, wow, all right. Now that's not you. You're more like when I go, I'm angry about this guy, and you go, I'm sure he had a reason to steal your car.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
He's probably down and out. He's probably a serial killer. Probably really discouraged.
His music teacher probably told him he couldn't do it.
He's just trying to turn his life around.
Now, I will say, is that so? I'm trying to think of a good example, but like I do have somebody in my life that I think is like that, where you'll say something and then they'll kind of respond condescendingly, or like why would you do that? You know, where it's
Yeah,
like,
that would be
Oh,
discouraging.
yes.
okay, yeah, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've all come across, I assume.
Right,
Like
because
there's
The womp womp.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yes,
cut. It's cutting to your judgment. Like, why would you do that? Which is basically making you be like, I'm an idiot.
I mean,
yeah.
and that sort of statement can hit you in so many places, like respect. Oh my goodness! Like I just said
Sure.
one thing, and you're asking like why I would do something. Like, get off my back.
Conversely, you know, they're very rare, but I have come in, one person in particular, and I've shared about him before here at the table. One of Rachel's high school classmates. I mean, friend. Okay, they were friendly, but just whatever. Her dad is in ministry. I think he's been a pastor, but he's done other things. And when I met him one day, he was like, "So, are you the one on Young Life staff?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, that's great. Tell me all about it." And I was just like, "Whoa."
I never get
tell
this.
you.
Nice.
But I just remember walking away like, that's the greatest guy I've ever met. That guy's one of the greatest people. Like, I was so encouraged.
Yeah.
And all he did was ask me questions, but he invested in me.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of the, well, why would you want to do that?
Right.
I got that one all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like this last one in How Is It Not Met is a little bit next level. The fear to bring up the status of the effort and thus not talking about it. So you're like, I don't think whatever endeavor, you know, my friend
Odds
is going
are this isn't
through,
going well,
it's
so I'm not asking.
Yeah, I don't want to be the one to open that can of worms or whatever.
Yeah. How's your grades, daughter? You know, or son? You know, and you're like, I don't want to know, so I don't ask. And they're like, they don't believe in me. They're not encouraging me. And that hurts.
So how do we steal it?
Yeah, and any emotional need, when you don't have it met, it doesn't mean the need goes away. And so again, you try to do whatever you can to have it met. One of those ways would be the one who just keeps asking, "Hey, did you hear what I'm doing? Did you know that I'm building this, or I'm working on this, or I'm trying to achieve this? Hey, did you hear about that? Do you want to hear more about it?" Because they're looking for somebody to say, "Oh, that's great."
Oh yeah, tell me all about it. But
Yeah.
Duke just shared that when he was in high school, he wanted to join the military, and his father's first words were, "You're not tough enough."
Oh man,
that's interesting.
that's a punch to the gut.
That
Yeah.
is discouraging,
Yeah.
man.
Well, there's always
You
time.
are-
There's always time, Duke.
There is time.
I was gonna say, did he ever do any military anything?
no.
I don't think so.
That one,
No.
I'm sad for Duke. That
It's
sucks.
horrible.
Yeah.
But there is time. Hey, the general who sat at this very table, he joined when he was like 34.
Oh, really? Okay.
That still blows my mind that he became a general joining that late.
Especially if you know him. He's just a big guy. Big guy. But then when you see him in his generalship, it makes sense.
Another way to steal it, always talking about our efforts dominating conversations. So everybody's sitting here and
Jay raised his hands for those people that are not watching.
And the worst is when you know it. And
Yeah.
you're like, "God, crap, I'm doing it again."
So where does encouragement lie in your grand scheme of your scale of needs?
It's a good question. I don't think it ever really scores very high, but I do enjoy it.
Interesting. Okay.
Would that
It's been a
fall
while.
under like if you're stealing like one upping or
Oh, you mean the game
Stealing
of
somebody-
well?
Yeah.
Stealing somebody's story?
yeah?
Yeah, that would be part of it. If somebody
Okay.
else is telling a story and then
Yeah.
you're like, but I mean, in my case, that's kind of ironic because I'm doing it right now. But for me, if I talk too much or if I'm always telling stories about my life and everything else. So if you look at my top needs, you know, certainly there's attention, there's respect, there's encouragement. Well, like all those, I got to get the story out, you know, because how can you respect me if I don't tell you? How can you
Right.
give me attention if I don't tell you? How can you encourage me if you're not aware of what I'm doing?
You need to be heard.
Right. And
Like,
so if I'm not
yeah.
being heard, I'm sure I talk more often. And by the way, let's go back to the beginning. Youngest of 5, overburdened parents.
You were always fighting
Detached.
for that.
Ah.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
cool. I mean,
I was
not,
always
you know
waiting
what I
for
mean.
that moment
It's
to arrive.
interesting, not
Blackbird
cool.
fly.
as always, giving it to others.
I think this happens less with encouragement, but it still applies. So you want to be encouraged. So you're like, "Oh, Eric, how was your day? Oh, that's great. You're doing great."
Yeah.
Like waiting for you to say, "Well, how was your day, Jay?" Well, I'm glad you asked. And you can
Yeah.
tell if somebody is that on how long they listen to you. You know, if they ask you about your day and you're like, "Oh, it was pretty good." Well, my day, and you're like, "Ah, okay, here we go."
Yeah.
Right. I'm always afraid that like verbal encouragement is so easy to give that I just like in a you know what I mean? It's so much easier to
Words
say
are cheap.
you can exactly. You can do it versus somebody who needs support coming alongside. I'm always afraid that like I'm so good at encouragement. Now what that really means is I'm bad at everything else. You know what I mean?
That's how you look at yourself.
Yeah.
We could take a deep dive into that.
right. No, this is not the time.
But you're right in theory that it's certainly easier to say, I believe you can build that mountain than grabbing a shovel and helping somebody build a mountain. Except people still don't do it very often. And there's different costs. Because if I show an interest in you and in a project you're working on, well, then guess what? You're going to expect to hear from me again. And you're going to want to know, and you're going to want to give me updates. Whereas if I don't ask, all right, then I've left Chris and his project aside, and I'll get to know it when it's either completed or not.
Okay.
So it's a different mountain. But it is easier in theory, but yet we still. How many people do you know you would define as encouraging? What percentage of the people in your world are encouraging?
Yeah.
Not
Not
a
not
very
a
high
huge percentage.
Yeah, not like
Like
two.
there's like one-offs, but I think that's hard to find somebody that does it well consistently.
There you go. That's where my brain
Right.
was starting to go too. 'Cause
Like, oh yeah, I got encouraged at one time.
right. Like
Yeah.
that's where I'm afraid that's what I do. I'm like,
No,
oh
my-
yeah, go.
My
But-
head goes to that pastor asking you about Young Life.
Yeah.
That guy's good at it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well, and
That's
especially
who
if
he
he
is.
then next time he sees you, he says, "Hey, remember what you were telling me about this and this? How did that go?" Or something ties it in a second time and follows through.
I'm starting to mix appreciation and encouragement because I was just thinking I tell you a lot that you make good food, but that's
appreciation.
That's appreciation
And or respect.
yeah,
And I appreciate that.
yeah.
But
You're
if you
welcome.
say, because I also, whereas my need for encouragement, I think maybe that's the point, that it's not higher, is because I'm pretty confident in a lot of the things that I do. It's like I don't need verbal encouragement as much as I do in certain situations, the physical encouragement, like somebody joining. Like last night, see, another story, changing the church sign. And I had it all laid out and I didn't have enough C's.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough C's. 3 different times I've asked people to look online for more letters. Now, I've been one of those people, and it is a weird size and whatever else, but I'm like, can somebody just get me C's? Is there any pastor out there who says, I would like letters, and he doesn't get letters? And so I feel discouraged in that moment that I can't even get letters.
I will
Now,
go to,
huge deal. Not a.
I'll go to another church and grab them off their sign. Bring them back to it.
Thanks for the support.
Oh,
I would feel encouraged by that support.
That's what this means in the outline. How do we steal it? That's what we need to see.
Literally.
Steal it. We steal it from other churches. They don't have the same. Apparently, it's a random size.
Well, it's a random building. Like that church building is a weird building. But you should still all come if you don't come to our church.
And lastly, if we tell others, oh, you know what, I'm probably not going to be able to get this project done. There's just no way. And then pause.
Fishing.
Yes. Fishing. Yes. Fishing indeed. Well, when we are hurt, when an emotional need is not met, it goes one predominantly of 4 places: anger, fear, guilt, self-condemnation. So if we tend to be angry, Chris, where does that lack of encouragement go?
Well, we don't receive the encouragement and we begin to cut ourselves off from others in retaliation and build relationships with those who will entertain our efforts. So rather than mending relationships, growing relationships, you end up severing relationships.
Pretty much.
And I find with anger, man, because I find with anger, a lot of it is you cut them off, you leave, you do different. Like there's a theme there with the anger is you kind of just run away or you try to.
Yeah, you're either going to lash out or, you either lash out or you detach.
Detach. Fear, feeling like no one believes in us, like the terror, the fear, oh my gosh, people just aren't going to believe in what I'm
Or
doing.
you're starting a new project, but you don't tell anybody because you're afraid nobody is going to even be there for you, whether it be in general or specific.
Yeah,
Does that break your heart? Like, even
Yep.
for people you don't like, you're like, I don't want them to feel like that.
yeah.
That I don't believe in you in general, and I don't believe in you
That's a-
specific to this task.
And that's a weird one for like encouragement. Like that's
Yeah.
that's ugly.
I got to tell you though, when you're reading that, like this like wave of that came over me. Like I think that definitely speaks to me. Like that fear of like no one believes in me. People can't, they don't believe I can do this. Like that. I think that's pretty important to me. Like
Yeah.
That
I
you
love
may-
discovering things.
But that you're saying like, I might need encouragement more than I thought.
Yeah. Like that, because that is where I would go in this is the fear of, I guess, people don't believe in me.
Yeah. That's sad. We should encourage you more often.
Nah, it's good.
Guilt.
No, what I'm saying is I don't.
My needs aren't worthy. It's fine. What would I do with my nights if I wasn't worrying about being accepted and loved?
I would
Would I sleep?
yeah,
Don't take away my favorite pastime of worrying.
and insomnia.
I'm only good at those two things. Chris, I believe in your ability to worry.
Thank you. I think I'm pretty good at
Not
it.
Sleep. Guilt, assuming that we don't encourage others and thus we don't receive it.
Yeah, this one's almost a little clunky, but if you go to guilty, it's like, well, I don't ever encourage anybody else, so why would they encourage me? And or I'm not really, yeah.
Because again, guilt is you have done something wrong.
Right.
Self-condemnation, which is the next one we're going to talk about,
That's
is
Guilt
Me.
is it's your fault your deed isn't being met.
Yeah.
Self-condemnation is you're not even worthy of having your need met. So what did I do wrong? Why isn't anybody encouraging me? Well, because I don't encourage anybody. And Duke's not going into the military.
Right.
Sorry.
And then
But
last,
he could.
Good.
he could
He's tough enough.
anytime. He could enlist right now or start ROTC. Self-condemnation, the feeling that we can't achieve what we have set out to do.
Oh, that's me.
It's so sad.
I
It's so
identify
funny
with
how different people are just like,
self-condemnation.
yeah, that one. Put my name next to that one.
I'm pretty much always self-condemnation.
Flush that out a little bit.
Just I really I do need encouragement, like to and support in certain things. Like if I'm about to embark on something, a project at work. A lot of times I'll do better if I'm working through something with somebody. And that's more support. But with encouragement, like I get that feeling like why would somebody encourage me to do something?
Right. Which is, with all due respect, different than what we just said. But we'll get to that too.
What?
Well, the first one is feeling that we can't achieve. So like I'm not gonna be able to get this
Oh,
done.
I definitely feel that. Like what? Like why? Like because like
I already moved past that to number two. Jim.
yeah.
And two is we're just not important enough.
Exactly what he just said. Yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
just said number two. Like, why would anybody encourage me?
Right.
Like I'm not significant.
Like, and what a demoralizing feeling to have a need for encouragement, and when you're not getting it, that you're just like,
Having confirmation.
yeah, exactly, confirmation,
I
or at
don't-
least the
greatest fear.
feeling
I don't
of
deserve this.
this is exactly
I'm not
what
important
it
enough.
is. Yeah,
Yep.
it's
And
just it's me.
It's really hard to encourage yourself. Well, at least for me, it is. Like it's really hard, like, oh, come on, pull up your bootstraps. You could do this. Like
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
No.
And no.
Because then there's the self-condemnation side of you. It's like, no, you can't.
Yeah. Who are you talking to?
You're talking about
to
you,
yourself?
idiot.
Who do you think I am?
Who do you think you are?
I am. The feeling that other things we have done wrong outweigh what we are trying to do, and thus we don't deserve encouragement. So, like, it's almost like you put yourself on the scales of justice or something.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this, but why would anybody encourage me when I'm such a jerk and I'm such a loser and I already did
Right.
this and this
And because
and this
of all these
wrong.
things,
My entire past is just like, yeah.
And even if I accomplish this, I'll screw something up later.
man, self-condemnation is a
Disgusting.
wow. It is a wraith. It is a ghoul.
Yep.
But it's great to heal from.
Yeah.
and that's possible.
Well, and I have realized like that, like along the way, like it's a huge lie, like that. Yeah, I am good.
It's
now,
like the sum
like-
of all the lies you've been told
Yeah.
all your life about how terrible. Like it's such a. The more I understand self-condemnation, the more it's just like it's demonic. It's just a web of lies that completely demoralize you.
So Duke said if he doesn't get encouragement, he might get upset but then get upset about being upset because I think I shouldn't need it. I should just suck it up and complete my task. I shouldn't need anyone else.
So
And
what is that self-condemnation?
I would say,
It's a little bit of anger, I would think.
right. It's a little bit of that's anger itself, which is self-condemnation. So I would say it's mostly self-condemnation. It's a compounding of hurts in a lot of ways, because why do you feel
Could
the
be
need to
support
suck it
in
up?
there.
That is showing a lack of comfort
Yeah.
received. And he said anger and self-condemnation. Yeah. So, because I've met with Duke, so I know Duke pretty well, so I don't want to blow up your spot, buddy. But it wasn't as if anybody was coming alongside and comforting. So I'm sure he's heard the term "suck it up." So now what does he do? That's the self-talk. Suck it up.
Right.
And the self-condemnation is I'm not worthy of encouragement, so I need to suck it up and move on. And that's sad because
That
Duke's
is.
incredibly awesome. Duke is the
love Duke.
youngest 40-year-old I've ever met.
He seems very established for how young he
Such a
is.
grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say 40-year-old because he's 26.
Oh, I was gonna. All right. I was
Right, that's my
confused.
point. Like
Yeah.
I see him just like he's one of us. Like
Yeah.
he's a grown ass man.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, cheers." Or you know what, Frasier was a good show too. But we're not talking about that now, Duke. Okay, so come on, stay on
target.
topic. Oh, so close.
Well, the beauty of it. Oh, please. The beauty of it is that we can learn and we can heal and we can build healthy relationships, and no matter what your relational need is.
And dadgummit, if anybody should be more encouraging, it's us. It's all of us who sit at the table, not just the four of us,
Right.
but all of us at the table. We should really commit to just being a little more encouraging and notice what reaction it gives us, because you might say to somebody, that task is going to go great, and I believe in you, and you're going to get it done, and they may say, "Well, can you help me?" And you're like, "Oh, they wanted support,"
Yeah.
but they might be like, "Really?" Like, watch. You'll see when somebody needs the need you're offering. They will respond. If they are filled with self-condemnation, they might be like, yeah, but no, I won't be able to do it. And double down, give them a little extra. But, it just costs, Chris, like you pointed out, it costs nothing.
Yeah.
It costs nothing. We should be more encouraging, and it's very doable.
I wonder if encouragement is that's like the tester. Like we can all try it and see where it hit. Does that stick for people? And if not, you try something else. But it's almost like get your toes in the water.
And one of the sneaky things we're trying to do in this whole process is to even get people to think in these terms.
Right.
Like I said in the very beginning, like some people are like, I had a bad day. Nobody comes home and says, I didn't get a lot of encouragement today. But if we are starting to think, like you said, it's the tester. Hey, I believe in you. You're going to get it done. And the person goes, I know. And you're like,
All right. So you're not,
and you go, you know what? You're really good at what you do. And they go, thank you. And you go, it's respect.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Or it's appreciation.
they still say, I know.
And you're like, all right, all right.
And you go down the line.
You're like, tell me about that project you're doing. And they go, no.
They're
The
dead
fact that
inside.
you do this project, man, you're going to have that job for a long time, obviously. Do you want any? You don't want any help with that? No? Okay. I was going to tell some people about it, and they're like, oh, that'd be nice. You're like, okay, gosh, attention. It's all you wanted. Gosh.
Beautiful.
Love it.
And we're going to wind down episode 170 on that note. So we invite you to give us a like or follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.